Okay, for this one, we're going to figure out what kind of relationship these angles have. If I look at this one here and this one here, they are acute angles. And we know whenever we have two lines cut by transversal, you wind up with all of the obtuse angles being the same and all of the acute angles being the same. So we know that these two angles together don't form a line. Because think about it, acute angles are less than 90 degrees. If you added two angles that are less than 90, you're not going to get 180 degrees. So if you wrote that these added up to 180, you had the wrong relationship. They are not supplementary, but they are congruent because these angles are what we call alternate interior angles. They are inside the line and they are on opposite sides of the transversal. This one's on the left side on the bottom, this one's on the right side on the top. So, since they are congruent, we can write our equation by stating that they are equal to each other. So this was the equation you should have written. Once you've got that, you're home free. We know how to do this. We're going to combine all the x's together. It does not matter whether you put them on the left like we do with inequalities or you move it over to the right. I personally would like to move it to the right because that way I'm not going to wind up with a negative. And with equations, I have that luxury. These cancel out and I'm left with 13 is equal to 8x minus 6x is 2x, and I bring down my minus 1. And now I have a Klingon and a lonely guy. I get rid of my lonely guy by adding. These cancel out. I bring down my 2x and my equals and my 14. And finally, the last step is to divide by 2 on both sides. And when I do that, x is equal to 14 divided by 2 is 7. So that was the first part of my problem, is to figure out what x was equal to. Now we have to figure out the acute angles, which are the ones that we have marked. So let's go ahead and start with that. We're going to put 7 in for x, and let me erase those little arcs because they're kind of cluttering up my landscape here. Okay, so I can put 7 in for either one of these. I'm going to put it in this one. So instead of x, I'm going to put 7. 8 times 7 is 56, and 56 minus 1 is 55. Guess what? If I had put 7 in for this one, I would have gotten the exact same thing. 6 times 7 is 42. 42 plus 13 is 55. So obviously, all of my acute angles are 55 degrees. Okay, so you might ask yourself, well, I don't have an obtuse angle marked in this drawing. No, you don't have one labeled, but we certainly can figure out what this measurement of all these obtuse angles are, because we know that this angle and this angle form a line. They are what we call supplementary. If they're supplementary and they form a line, then that means they add up to 180 degrees. So if you've got 55 degrees already and we need to know the obtuse angle, all we need to do is just subtract 180 minus 55. And we're going to need to borrow. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the 1. And so this answer is 55 degrees for the acute and 125 degrees for the obtuse.